All right, good afternoon and welcome to the very first episode of Youth 101. Yes, indeed, Youth 101, because we want to talk about issues that affect you, the young people. And of course, I'm not alone in studio. I have a young person as well as a mental health counselor. Joshua Lungu is a young person, and I have with me also mental health counselor Malachi Bambala. And because we want to talk about Joshua, what's our topic for today?
We are talking about mental health. This is something that is very common, and a lot of young people are going through these things. So yeah, that's our topic for today.
For today, yeah. It's an issue that affects you, the young people, right?
A lot. Looking at the way things are changing, the way things, are evolving around us. Each young people are affected in a number of ways. So this is a very good topic for us to talk about. And yeah, I believe that a lot of young people will be, be helped in one way or the other. Yeah.
And how are you coping? What do you gather? Mental health and well-being. Yeah. What do you think?
Mental health and well-being. For me, basically, I think about it in such a way that I'm supposed to keep myself in a state where I'm not affected in one way or the other. In as much as stress is going to, come, emotions are going to change here and there. I have to make sure that I keep myself intact for what I want to achieve, and just make sure that things are better. I make sure that my health is in good shape and not affected by things that might come up here and there.
All right. And indeed, I'm Jacqueline Tembo, co-hosting this show because we want to hear what you, the young people, have to say. And because it's a youth healthcare program, we thought of bringing a mental health counselor. And later on, we will open the phone line so that you can call in, and we have a special surprise. If you pay attention to the show, we have a special giveaway at the end of the show. And so, Joshua, you want to engage our mental health counselor? Let's find out what is this mental health we're talking about.
Exactly.
We can only skirt around what we think.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, good morning once more. Oh, it's good afternoon. Yeah, sorry.
Good afternoon. Where have you been, Joshua?
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
Can you kindly introduce yourself, what you do? Yeah.
So my name is Bambala Malachi.
Okay.
What do? I do quite a number of things. I'm pursuing my Bachelor of Laws.
Okay.
I am an event host and an MC. I am a mental health activist certified. I run a business called Naturals. Among other things. So I do quite a number of things.
All right. So I heard you talk about mental health counseling. So let's get straight into it, because I know the young people want to know and learn and be equipped with that information so that we get positive vibes from the young people.
Exactly.
What can you define as mental health?
So I'm going to put it in very simple words so that everyone can understand. So when we speak of mental health, we speak of things affecting one's social life, psychological life, as well as one's emotional life. So that's basically what consolidates to what mental health is about.
And well-being. We are talking also well-being. How are the two related?
Mental health and well-being.
Yes.
So when we speak to someone's, psychological well-being, social well-being, we speak to how are they nurturing their mental health. And mental health is, the mind is like a fruit. The mind is like a fruit which is fed by different aspects of our existence. So when we look at the body, it consists of a lot of things. So there is the social aspect, the psychological aspect, as well as the mental aspect itself. So collectively, when you look at the social life, these are things that are now cumulatively contributing to one's mental health.
Amazing. That's really good. That's a very, like you said, a very simple definition. Obviously, everyone can relate to that. Yeah. And looking at the fact that young people go through different things, you get there. Yeah. Looking at the fact that young people go through different things. So what can you talk about, or maybe what can you say? Why is it important to the youths out there? Why is mental health important?
So the mind is very important, because when you
Yeah.
speak of things like mindset, you cannot have it set in an effective manner for you to be productive as a young person if you do not take care of it. So we're talking about mental health and well-being. So we're talking about how we can take care of our mental health, how we can nurture it for us to be productive as young people. Why is it important for young people to take care of their mental health? One, what you don't know, you won't control.
Yeah, that's good.
And the mind being a very important aspect of our lives as young people,
Yeah.
it's very important for us to take care of it, because every other thing that we do is affected by what we think.
Yeah.
How are we shaped mentally? How strong are we to cope up with the normal life stresses?
Yeah.
Because life is going to come with different stresses, but how well are we able to manage this? And it all starts in the mind. If you cannot control it in the mind, you cannot control it physically. If I decided not to come on this show, I wasn't going to come because I made up my mind. So now it's an idea of how strengthened is your mind to be able to handle situations of life, different, positive and negative. So it's important for young people to take into consideration how well they are faring mentally for them to be able to make effective decisions.
Okay. And I heard you say you need to have a strong mental setting, as a young person. But we see young people get into, negative vices like, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, because most of them, I know, Joshua, you will agree with me on this one.
Exactly.
Most of them get into these things because of peer pressure. What you call peer pressure, where they're enticed into doing certain things against their will. So how can they, have good friends, for example, who will harness their character, who will, teach them the right things and give them the right advice?
Yep.
They say charity begins at home. Charity begins at home, and like I earlier alluded to, what you don't know, you won't control. So I think part of how they can make good relations, both at home and with their peers, is also a question of understanding where they are. So the first question is, do I know who I am as a young person? Do I know what I stand for? Because if I don't stand for anything, most certainly I'm going to fall for anything, right? So I need to understand, do I know who I am? So it all begins from there. If I don't know who I am, it's difficult for me to make good relations. If I attend a meeting, I'm only able to talk and have conversations with certain people because I know the reason I'm attending that meeting. So I think it's very necessary and important for young people to take into consideration the aspect of taking time to understand who I am, because it's things like denial of certain circumstances in our lives that cause us to now be addicted to something and have certain vices. I'll give an example of, me being addicted to just drinking alcohol or smoking. If something happens to me and I do not accept it immediately, it's going to be very difficult for me to handle that situation. So what do? I'm going to look for a quick fix. It could be smoking, because I know that when I smoke, I'm going to spend some good 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours just not thinking correctly. So if we could take time into just finding out who we are as young people and what we stand for, then we know what relations we're going to make in whatever setup we are presented with. Like I mentioned, mental health is not to be without life stresses, but it's having the capacity to handle stresses that come with life.
All right.
Amazing. Do not forget, this is Youth 101, brought to you by Corporals with support from AIDS Fund. And we bring to you nothing but the very best of what youths are going through. This is a youth care talk show. And I heard what you clearly said. I wanted to pose this question to Jacqueline, looking at the fact that she's past that age, right? Yeah. No, I heard what you talk about concerning how people live in denial most of the times, and you get to find yourself in a situation that you never wanted to find yourself in, and at the same time you just deny it, saying this is not what it is. So how can young people achieve this thing that makes them not to have a mental well-being or a mental health good state? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Joshua. The first thing I'm going to talk about is perception, because there's a thing called stigma.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are being bullied, maybe let's say you get sick and you are bullied for it, or you fail an exam and you are bullied for failing that exam, what's going to happen is the perception that you had at first around failing is going to change because someone bullied you. There's a lot of stigma around mental health. A lot of people don't want to associate with mental health because with mental health comes mental illness. Some people are chronically mentally ill. So now what stigma is around people who have depression, people who have been traumatized in the past, people who have gone through different life stresses. So, one, the perception that you have around mental health will give you a good standing as a young person to be able to deal with stresses. The second thing is acceptance. Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult to be in check of your mental health because you have not accepted certain things that happened to you. It could be, while you are growing up, while you are young, while you are 2, 3 years old, 5 years old, maybe you are at school, something happened to you and it broke something within you. And lack of acceptance that it happened to you will lead to denial. And everything you deny, you have less chances of healing from it. Because now you are completely saying, no, this did not happen to me. So I'm going to continue like yesterday. But thing is, something broke in you. So now what do? You take a flight method of dealing with, you suppress your emotions. So these emotions, you were created to have these emotions. That's why if I pinched you right now, you'd be able to feel that emotion. Why? Because it's something that's within you. So the earlier you accept that it's within you to be disappointed when something happens to you and to be excited when a good thing happens to you, gives you a better chance of being able to deal with and take care of your mental health.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure by now you, the young people, are equipped with the knowledge and you're itching to ask your questions. So feel free to do that. And the number you're calling us on will be 25 30 25. 25 30 25. We're going on a short break and we'll be right back. All right, you are still watching Youth 101. This is a youth healthcare program proudly brought to your screens. This is the first episode, by the way, proudly brought to you with the compliments of
Corporals Zambia with support from AIDS funds. Yep.
All right, so you heard it right. Say it again.
Corporals Zambia with support from AIDS funds. Exactly.
I love the way you're saying AIDS funds. Okay, and then we want to hear from you, the young people. Today's topic is mental health and well-being and how it influences you as a young person. Joshua and I are co-hosting this show, and we have a mental health counselor whom you can also direct your questions to. That's Malachi, who is a mental health counselor, and he was just breaking it down for us. And of course, we want to find out again, Malachi, parents, how should parents, for lack of a better word, handle their children, because mental health is real. Even as we try and gloss over it, it is a real factor in every person's life. So parents, again, how can they contribute to the mental well-being of every child, whether youth or, a youngster?
Thank you so much. So parents have a very huge responsibility to the topic of mental health, and I think we can also revert back to the idea of perception, how they see it, because I think one thing, having been here in Africa, I think a lot of African parents have this rigid way of dealing with mental health, and also the idea that we think mental health is all about being sad, and people expressing sadness also distorts how parents see it. So I think parents have to realize that when their child is going through something, it's not all the time that they look sad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Sometimes things like depression, stress, anxiety could be clothed with a smile. So I could be in all smiles, yet I'm battling with something that people do not know about. So parents should take reasonable time to understand their children. And we've experienced a situation where this child was too intelligent, and because the child was too intelligent, the parents at home couldn't understand what exactly the child was going through. So they thought the child was doing what he was doing because he was just smart. No, he could do this, he could be all grumpy and all doing all these sorts of things that they don't understand, but they could only attribute it to him being extremely intelligent. So I feel like parents should take an approach to just understanding their child, what their capacities are, and also understand that not only they can solve their child's problem. It's okay to ask for help when it's beyond them. And any issues around mental health, I think one thing that is always emphasized on is, if you're not a doctor, do not diagnose. I think there's a lot of doctors in society today. They'll just see someone behave a certain way and they say, no, you have this, you have depression, hey, you're depressed. So I think if you're not a doctor, please do not diagnose, do not prescribe. The best medicine you can prescribe is for this person to either see a therapist or a counselor, because these are people well trained to handle issues that come around mental health and anything to do with mental health. So parents play a huge role, because charity begins at home. If they don't give their children enough liberty to communicate what they are going through, because there are times where in African setups a child will be expressing something to their parents. Maybe this child won't even be appropriate in their expression of that emotion, but the only thing most African parents would do is scold the child, beat the child, and forget it. No, you are being disrespectful. It's against culture. But are they able to look beyond culture and understand this child could be going through something, and that's why they are projecting this emotion? It could be an emotion of rejection. Maybe not from them, but school.
Let me just hold that thought, and I'll ask you, the viewers, the young people especially, we have a prize to give away. So call us on 25 30 25, because we're about to end the show. So if I were you, I'll just quickly dial and ask away, and you might just be our lucky winner for today. And of course, what are the signs of mental health disorder? Can I call it that? Or of a mental breakdown, maybe.
Illness.
That someone is going through a mental health breakdown. They have a burnout somewhere.
So I'm going to talk about the major ones.
Yes.
So you notice certain signs, especially with people who are not on a normal day expressive. I think in the social context they call them extroverts. introverts. So they're not very
yeah.
expressive in public spaces and even in friend groups. So they have to be extremely comfortable. So with these people, you notice extreme expressions. So out of the blues, this person is all of a sudden expressive. Anyhow, anything they want to contribute on, whatever topic, even topics are not well familiar with, they want to contribute on. So that could be a sign. And with people that are very expressive, and this is one of the most common signs, is isolation. Isolation. A lot of people tend to isolate. They just want to be alone. And also the other thing is, especially with young people who are in spaces, not only young people, but especially people who are in spaces of influence. This person could be a leader, a young leader. So these people tend to either just detach all of a sudden, inconsistencies in work. This person was excellent at what they did, but all of a sudden you begin to notice few breakdowns, someone failing to take accountability. They're supposed to do this and then they don't do it. They don't communicate effectively, and it's some of these sides that you begin to look at and you're like, oh, okay, this person could be going through something. Let's take an approach to just talk to them and be able to see if we can start a conversation with them. And the other sign that one could be going through mental health challenges is inappropriate outbursts.
Okay, then you know that there's a problem somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's this idea for me. If I'm having a conversation with Joshua, and then I ask him a question, his response is supposed to, if his response is supposed to be 5, if he goes to 10, then I know it's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
And it's what's being provoked within him as I say something.
All right. Okay. We need to go, Joshua. And it's been a very fruitful discussion.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, the young people, you young people, let me down. I was hoping to hear the phone buzzing.
Yeah.
But just remind them that we're back
every Wednesday. And please, next time you should call. Young people, this is our show. Come on, let's do better. So we air this show every Wednesday at 12:30 hours on ZNBC TV2. So please, bring in those calls.
Yeah. And also, just be reminded that, even as Joshua says, every Wednesday, 12:30 on TV2, we have exciting topics. Talk about, drug abuse. Talk about, what other topics can we bring
Communication,
Yes.
health relationships,
Yes.
a lot of topics for you.
For you, the young people.
Exactly.
So,
and
yes.
for me as well.
we need to go. Thank you,
Yeah.
Malachi, for coming through. Thank you,
Pleasure.
Joshua, for representing the young people, though they let you down. I'm going to bash you. But, next week, if you call in, we'll give you an exciting prize. We are out. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Discover ZNBC TV2, the channel that redefines entertainment.